Finding your first apartment can be super duper exciting. I know from first experience myself, it is always so exciting when you're on that hunt, but it can definitely get overwhelming very quickly. From figuring out your budget to dealing with the landlord, the contract, the leases, all of the documents you have to present, there is so much to think about. But today I am going to be sharing some tips that I wish I knew before I was a first renter. But whether you are on student loans or you're getting your first apartment, got your first job, or you're a seasoned renter like myself, I am going to be sharing some fresh tips with you. Let's start with the most important part, and that is your budget. All right. This is obviously the most important part because this will guide you to what kind of place you can afford in the first place. I remember for my first apartment, I had no idea how to budget properly. I literally didn't have a credit card till I was 24. I literally never made a budget before that. And I would just wing it and try to save as much as possible every single month. When I met my now husband at the time, he was an accountant and a finance major. And he was like, wait, we need to create a budget. It was humbling. It was humiliating, but it was necessary. I was able to see everywhere that my money was really going to, where I needed to curb my money, and especially what I can spend on what items and how much I need to have for those things. If you're living off student loans, you're going to need to stretch every single dollar, okay? Consider your rent, utility, groceries, and don't forget those like little things that kind of sneak up on you, like maybe you need to get a new furniture, or maybe you need to get Wi-Fi, or maybe your electricity bill is higher than you think it's gonna be. All of those little tricky things, don't forget to leave a little room in your budget for expenses and the things that may come up as an emergency. Set a maximum rent amount and you have to stick to it. Like I'm telling you, if you push your rent amount, you are going to slightly regret it. Even if you end up in an apartment you really like, you're always going to be like, damn, but I wish it was cheaper. And that's really what a lot of people are feeling now, because the rent prices are just so crazy that things that used to be not this expensive is not expensive. And people are like, I just wish it were cheaper. That's across the board. But like in general, you're going to feel that heat a lot more if you are not sticking to the budget that you set for yourself. A good rule of thumb is to keep your rent to about 30% of your income. Now, if you're on student loans, you definitely want to go around 20%, 25%. I'm telling you, trust me, get a roommate, get a studio, get an efficiency. Just cut down that cost as much as you possibly can. Next, we have the apartment hunt. This is the funnest part. I love this part. This is actually so incredibly amazing. Like looking at the potentials, neighborhoods where you can live in, what bedroom space, what windows, what like everything. Like that is so duper duper exciting. I love it. I've been there myself. Trust me. This is what like our fourth apartment, me and my husband now that we're living in together. So yeah, trust me. Love it. But that moment can also be very deceiving because there's a lot to do when it comes to actually looking at places that you should have like criteria to be met. You need to make sure when you're looking for places, what is part of the rent you're going to pay and what's going to be extra. I remember when we were looking for apartments before we got this place, a lot of places had like either a parking fee, like an extra $50 a month for covered parking, or you could try to take the risk and just park on the street if you wanted. Make sure you find out what kind of place you're renting. Are you in a condo owned space or are you in an apartment owned space? Is it owned by like a union, or is it owned by like an association, which more than likely would be tied to condos, or is it owned by the apartment building and the apartment like manager itself? So apartments could have like a property manager, their own team in-house that are renting out each different unit. So they're the ones that you will contact if you needed something fixed. Those are things you need to know about. Like, do I need to contact my landlord, which is like if you live in a condo, it's a landlord you will contact. Like they're the ones that will come and fix everything. Those are things you need to know when you're visiting all the places that you're going to. In case you didn't know. Ask about everything. What's the policy on maintenance? What is the lease look like? What is the pricing that it would take for me? Like, what is the limits that I have to hit? For us, for example, in our apartment, anything $100 or less when it comes to maintenance or fixing in the apartment is on us to fix. If it's $100 or more, it is on the landlord to fix. So in that case, then I would say, hey, this thing's broke, is gonna cost me more than $100. it's up to them to fix, because that's how our contract is set up. You need to look at your contract. You need to know who's picking up the trash. Am I going down the hall to go put it there? Do I have to go all the way downstairs to go do this? Can I paint the walls? Do I have to leave it as is? Do I have to paint it and then paint it right back to what I started in when I came in? Like, all of those things are things you need to know about when you are doing the search. It's the little things that can make or break your experience. And don't forget to check out the neighborhood. Neighborhood is so important. I know when it comes to saving money, I've had to sacrifice neighborhood myself. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go to a neighborhood that I cannot have a life, or I don't feel like I can thrive, or just like even see myself in. I'm an active person. I like to go outside. I like to go to like a tennis court close by, hopefully, a park close by, hopefully. Those are things that are important to me. You need to walk that neighborhood. It's like having a coffee shop really important to you. Then maybe going to a coffee shop is what you need to do. Is having like a shopping or grocery spot really like the spot for you? Maybe that's the things that you need to go towards and make sure you have in your neighborhood. Like, I want to be close to a grocery store if I need to buy something really quickly within 5-10 minutes of myself. Those are things that are important to me. You want to find a neighborhood that fits your lifestyle, that you can see yourself in. So now you found the perfect place. Now comes the least exciting part, which is the paperwork. This is where you really need to pay attention though, because this is the most important part. But let's go over what is the base things that you will need for any apartment application in general. I'm gonna give you the list, okay? A little checklist for you, okay? So there are 4 things that are the essentials that you're gonna need. Proof of income, credit report, reference letter, and your ID. Here's a quick checklist. You need a proof of income. So you need proof of income, which will be your last. Ideally, they ask like 3 paychecks. Some could ask for more, but that would be your last 3 paychecks. If you are new at a job and you know you're going to be making more money to be able to pay for the apartment you're living in, which has happened to me before, what you need to do is go to your job and ask them for a proof of income. They need to create a financial statement that says that you are going to be making the salary that you claim you're going to be making to be able to afford the apartment that you are going to be in. But regardless, you're still going to have to provide pay stubs in general to kind of prove that you had money in the first place. So that's the tricks I would tell you for whether a first-time job or if you just have like a solidified job in the first place, then you obviously have those paychecks. Now, if you have student loans, always have your financial aid statement that will say all your disbursements, and you're also going to need to provide your bank account, which shows that you have that money. Right? So those are the things you're going to need. Most landlord will ask for a credit report. Get ready to do this. They will have a website or something they want you to run it through. It may ding your account and your credit for like little points, but you're going to have to do it. This is part of apartment hunting. But once you have it, let's say like you did it for one apartment, you don't have to do it for multiple places. Like usually I would recommend get a realtor who will help you. So they will say, hey, go to our website. We typically use the site to be able to generate our credit report. You do it on that site, and that way you have it for each landlord, so you don't have to keep doing it over and over again, so you don't have to keep getting those things on your card, on your credit report, obviously. But if you need to rent in as well, you may need a reference letter from like your previous landlord, and if you don't have it because you're truly brand new, you may need from like a professional contact or a professional reference, someone that can vouch for you, okay? And of course, the most important part, you're gonna need an ID, which is like a driver's license or a passport, depending on whichever one is applicable to you. You are gonna need that ID. So those are the essentials that you need to have like ready to go, like those PDF ready on your computer. It's gonna save you so much time and stress like coming up with all that when you want to put in an application for your first apartment. Trust me. So having those 4 items that I just mentioned, your proof of income, your credit report, a reference, professional or otherwise, and of course your ID, those 4 things will make it easier and faster as you go into the process of actually putting in an application for an apartment. All right, so you found a place you like, right? Before you sign that lease, you gotta read it over. I told you this part is gonna be very important. You wanna look over to see all of the things that we just mentioned, if they're listed in that contract in any way. Now, if you have a realtor, they will help you with it, but you still have to ask the questions, the important questions. Look for the clauses, look for the rent increase and when they will happen, especially if the contract says anything about that. Look for who's gonna pay for things, what are the limits that you need to meet, whether you're gonna take it over, like I said, or they're gonna take it over, at what limit that is. You wanna look at every single thing, like what does it take to break your contract? What is it that it has to look like when you move in and you move out? Like all of that will be in the contract. You really have to look at it. It's so important. It is so important. Please, you got to look at it, okay? And if you're not sure about something, ask. It is so much better to ask the questions and actually get an answer from your realtor or from the landlord or from the apartment unit, building, property manager, complex, whatever it may be, than to be that person that didn't ask and then you get locked into something that you could have easily just asked about. Ask, ask, ask. What is the difference between the rent here and the rent there? What can I do from this point to this point? What is the price ranges and what are the discounts that you may have? Ask like all the questions that they're like, oh, this lady seems kind of crazy. It's okay. Be the crazy person asking all the questions. Better that way than stuck in a contract you cannot break for more than likely a year. Now let's talk about furnishing. So let's say you're on a tight budget. The best thing I could tell you is secondhand things. Now, the table that I have, the coffee table we have in our living room, was given to us by my husband's aunt. Now, this chair we got, I believe, from Wayfair. The other chair we had was from Wayfair. The mattress we just got was from Mattress Giant, but our first mattress was from IKEA for like $200. Now we got a better one that costs a bit more money, but it was an investment we had to make years later. And I upgrade from the IKEA. We have the bar cart, which is from Amazon. There's so many things. There's a table here that was from my dad and he gave it to me. There's a whole dinner table that we have from my husband's great grandmother. So like 100-year-old table that we have in our living room right now. Literally, when I tell you guys, it is a mix and match of everything, because that's what we needed to do to save money. This was not the first couch we had. We had another couch from IKEA, then we went to Wayfair, and we think our next couch is probably gonna be from like an actual furniture store that's been established for like a lot of years. Because I really want like a leather couch or something. Like I'm tired of like the fabric and stuff. It's such a mission to clean and we do it like every week and I'm over it. So those are costs you have to think about, but you don't have to furnish your entire apartment right away. Like I said, we didn't do all of that. We did the essentials. Make sure you have something you can sit on, something you can lay on and go to sleep on, and something you can kind of like relax in, or just like little like love seat, beanbag, chair, something like that, like an office space if that's something that's obviously important to you. But you can always add as you go. So there's no need for you to feel the pressure of like, oh my God, I have to get the best things right now and it's so expensive. Get the $200 couch. It will go a long way than be sitting on the floor, because end of the day, you upgrade from that $200 couch that you use a lot, step by step. Okay? Don't stress if you don't have everything figured out. It is all part of the process. You will figure it out. You'll find the routines that work for you, the places you like to shop, the things you like to do, the furniture you like, the couches you like, all of that stuff. Okay? But in the beginning, just dip your toes. Okay? A little dip. All right? But renting your first place is a big milestone in my opinion. But with these tips, I am sure you'll be miles ahead of where I started, because when I had to do that checklist and I had to provide all of those things and I started a new job and then I had to go get that letter, I was stressing. So hopefully that helps just one person to not have to deal with what I dealt with. So whether you're on the budget, just starting out your career, or rented out a couple of places in the past, I hope this video gives you some new ideas, some new tips, refreshes your list and your checklist and your pay stub list and all the checklists you need to provide for your next place. But yeah, I hope this video has provided some really useful advice to you. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them down below. Tips are also welcome too, things I may have missed or didn't touch up on in this video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And until next time,